You see, we focus on Jesus, and then when we take our focus off Jesus and we put our focus on our settings, inevitably, we sink. You know, many of us, we think that the opposite of faith is doubts and unanswered questions. That's why when we doubt things, we go, oh man, there's something wrong with my faith. There's something wrong. But I've got good news for you. If you have doubts and unanswered questions, every one of Jesus' disciples had doubts and unanswered questions. And so if that's you, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Take your doubts and unanswered questions, and I know it might be challenging to do, but you just pick them up and you continue to follow Jesus. Because as you continue to follow Jesus, your doubts and unanswered questions will either be answered or they won't matter as much. And so here's what we see with Peter. Was he terrified? Heck yeah, he was terrified. But he wasn't like his 11 other buddies who just were paralyzed by fear, and so they just sat in the boat. You see, that's why Jesus says, I want you to take courage, because here's what courage is through the context of what Jesus is saying. Courage does this. Courage takes one step in the direction of Jesus, not knowing what the results are going to be, then takes another step, then takes another step, and takes another step. And as Jesus said, we don't have to be afraid because we are with our heavenly dad. And he will walk with us no matter what. So Peter takes his focus off of Jesus and he focuses on the storm and he begins to sink. And then listen to how Jesus responds to him in the sinking. It said, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. And then he says this. He says, you of little faith, why did you doubt? You know, the big question that this passage raises and our doubts raise is, what was Peter doubting really? What was he doubting? Was he doubting Jesus? Was he doubting that Jesus had the power to allow him to walk on water? What was Peter doubting? Peter began to doubt Peter. Peter began to doubt whether he could do what God has asked him to do. And I think this is the crisis point for many of us. You see, many of us, we believe in God, but do you realize that God believes in you?